All right, this is part one of multiplying polynomials. Actually, we'll be multiplying binomials with a polynomial. So here's our first example. First, I'd like you to know before we begin that this is very easy. All this is using the distributive property. If you know how to distribute, you're easy. This should be easy breezy for you. So here's our first example. 2x times 7x squared minus 3x plus 5. Understand that anytime you have a number, a variable, or a number, variable, a term on the outside of any parentheses, it automatically means multiply. So I'll have 3 like this and then x plus 2. We should remember that this means to multiply. Any number, variable, or combination outside of a parentheses, it means to multiply. So if we remember that, we can proceed further. So here we are with our 2x being multiplied by this term 7x squared minus 3x plus 5. And the rule says to distribute the 2x to everything in the parentheses. Everything in the parentheses. So we did this before. 2x times 7x squared. And that's going to be 2 times 7 is the 14. And then because we're multiplying, we add the exponents. This is x to the first power, so this is going to be to the 1 plus 2 power. And then we do the 2x, and it's going to be minus is brought down. Minus 2x times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x to the 1 plus 1 power, which is to the second power or square. And then we distribute or share this 2x to the 5. 2 times 5 is 10, and then x times 1 will be x, so it's 10x. So this is our final answer is here, 14x cubed minus 6x squared plus 10x. This is our final answer after we distribute the 2x to everything in the parentheses. Let's try example number 2. R times 5r plus r squared. Remember, a number, a variable, or a combination of both on the outside of the parentheses means to multiply. And when it's out there, you have to distribute or share the r with every term that's on the inside of the parentheses. So this is going to be r times 5r plus, and we distribute this over here, the r to the r squared, r times r squared. What does that look like? 1r times 5r is 5r, and we multiplied before with the when we multiply with the same base, we add exponents. This is r to the 1 plus 1 power, added to r times r squared. And again, we're multiplying the same base, so we add the exponents. This is the 1 plus 2. In other words, this is going to be 5r squared plus r cubed. And we should write this in ascending order, so this would be r cubed plus 5r squared. And if we had said ascending order, this answer here of 5r squared plus r cubed would be fine. So let's try another. Here we have a little bit more work to do. We have 4 times 3d squared plus 5d minus d times d squared minus 7d plus 12. We take each of the polynomials separately and we distribute the term that's in front of the parentheses. So we'll start here with the 4 and the 3d squared. This is going to be 4 times 3d squared. Now we have to distribute this 4 to the 5d. We've done this. Is old stuff. So the plus is there, plus 4 times 5d. We put all that in parentheses. Minus d times d squared. So d times d squared minus d times 7d. And this is going to be plus d times 12. Alright, we put that in parentheses as well. And 4 times 3d squared is equal to 12d squared plus 4 times 5d is 20d. Alright, and we can use the parentheses minus d times d squared is d cubed minus d times 7d is going to be minus 7d squared. Plus d times 12 is going to be 12d. And I'll use parentheses for that. And yesterday we talked about addition and subtraction of polynomials. So we know we need to stack these vertically and add, in this case, subtract the 2 polynomials. So once we do that, here we are. I'm going to put them in order. D squared is the highest here, so this one is in the correct descending order. D cubed is the highest here, so it's in the correct order. So I'm going to underline what's alike. 12D squared corresponds to the minus 7D squared. 20D corresponds to the 12D. The only one without anything is the D cubed, so we know we're going to add a 0D cubed. So we'll line it up. In this first one, there is no D cubed to go with this D cubed, so we're going to put in 0D cubed. And then we're going to put in plus 12D. 12D goes with the minus 7D squared. Both of these are squared, excuse me. And I forgot to put in this D cubed here. There it is. And then the 20D, so this is in the first polynomial, plus 20D. And it's going to be added with the 12D. And this says that this is a subtraction problem right there, but we know we're going to change this from subtraction to addition. So here I am. Change this here. When I change that, that means the charge on everything goes to the opposite. This becomes a negative D cubed. This becomes a plus 7D squared. And this becomes a negative 12D. Now we can add them. 0D plus a negative D cubed is going to be a negative D cubed. 12D squared plus 7D squared is going to be plus 19D squared. 20D plus a negative 12 is going to be plus 8D. And that is our final answer. So that's just going to be distributing a binomial with a polynomial. We'll talk about two terms in the next lesson.